by Melissa Bixby. Art by Adam Barney. Read along with permission from Melissa Bixby.
Bobby woke up that morning, and after getting dressed, washing his face, and brushing his teeth, he walked downstairs to the kitchen where his mom was getting breakfast ready.
Mom, my tooth is really loose, and every time I wiggle it, it hurts, he said.
Well, how about I put an apple in your lunch, and I bet that when you bite into the apple, your tooth will come out. Bobby thought to himself and replied, "Thanks anyway, but I think that would hurt worse." As he boarded his bus that morning, Bobby said to the driver, "Good morning, Mr. Mack. My tooth is really loose, and every time I wiggle it, it hurts." The bus driver replied, "Well, have you tried biting into an apple?" Bobby groaned, "Thanks, but I think that will hurt."
Mr. Mack replied, "Well, let's tie it to the bus door, and when the door opens and closes, it'll wiggle your tooth free." Bobby thought for a second about that idea and replied, "Thanks anyway, but that would hurt worse."
So he sat on the bus and turned to his friend Philip. "Philip, my tooth is really loose, and every time I wiggle it, it hurts." Philip replied, "Have you tried biting into an apple?" Bobby sighed, "Thanks, but I think that will hurt."
"Okay then, I have an idea," Philip exclaimed. "We can tie your tooth to the rocket I just got for my birthday, and when the rocket lifts off, so will your tooth." Bobby thought about Philip's idea and replied, "Thanks, Philip. That's a great idea, and it sounds like fun, but I think it would hurt worse."
The bus arrived at school, and Bobby and his friends marched into school ready for the day. But Bobby's mind was on his loose tooth.
"Good morning, Mrs. Bird," Bobby said to his teacher. "My tooth is really loose, and it hurts when I wiggle it." His teacher replied, "Have you tried biting into an apple?" Bobby grumbled, "Thanks, but I think that will hurt."
Mrs. Bird said, "Well, if it hurts to wiggle it, then my suggestion is not to wiggle it. Let nature take its course," she sang. "Now please take your seat so we can get started with the class." And class began, but Bobby couldn't stop thinking about his loose tooth.
At lunch, he asked his friends for some more ideas on how to get his loose tooth out, ignoring the apple his mom put in his lunch the whole time. Cole's idea was to put the teeter-totter under the tooth and he would jump on the other end. Or we could freeze my head and chisel the tooth out. "Thanks, Cole, but I think that will hurt worse."
Mario suggested that we use his fishing pole and tie it to my tooth so he could reel it in. "Thanks, Mario, but I think that will hurt worse too."
So the day went on, but Bobby could not stop thinking about his loose tooth. During recess, Bobby went and sat on the swings by himself to think.
One of his classmates, Kinsey, sat on the next swing. "What's wrong, Bobby?" she asked. Bobby sighed. "I have a loose tooth, and when I wiggle it, it hurts." Kinsey asked, "Have you tried biting into an apple yet?" He breathed deeply and said, "Thank you, Kinsey, but I think that will hurt."
"Okay then," she replied. "I'm going bowling with my family after school. How about you come with? And we can tie your tooth to the bowling ball, which will surely help it come out faster." "Thanks, Kinsey, but I'm almost positive that would hurt worse."
As the day went on, Bobby thought more and more about his loose tooth. On the bus home, he continued to think of all the ways he could possibly get his tooth out without hurting.
He could try tying it to a kite, or to a train that was about to depart, or attach it to a team of dog sleds, or even tie it to a big rock and drop it out the window. But none of these ideas seemed like they would work, and all of them seemed like they would hurt worse.
When Bobby arrived home, there was a note on the kitchen table addressed to him. He grabbed the snack his mom left him, began eating and reading his letter.
Dear Bobby, I know your loose tooth is hurting you, and that you have tried to think of ways to get it out without it hurting worse. But I promise you that once it comes out, it won't hurt at all. Best of all, I will come visit you when it does come out. And when I collect your tooth, I will leave you a very special gift. See you soon. Love, the Tooth Fairy.
Huh? Bobby said out loud. I guess I better pick one of those ideas from earlier so I can get this tooth out and get my special surprise from the Tooth Fairy. Then all of a sudden Bobby realized his tooth didn't hurt anymore, and when he looked down at the snack he was eating, there was his tooth sitting right in the middle of the apple he had bitten into.
Well, I guess it could have hurt worse, he said to himself.
The end.